and I'm trying to pay attention, and I did for the most part, but yeah, it was not pleasant. It was fun, but it was just almost inappropriate, but not really. Um, it was a it was such a fun. It was a decent night. I liked
I
it.
can't see Reiki horror as necessarily being fully inappropriate. Where was this again? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
At the bar, at the leather bar I was at, well, the Argos for the contest. Um, I was
Oh,
at
so you didn't want it on because it would distract from the contest.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
gotcha.
sort of my thing. It was kind of a little distracting. Like if it had been just like a normal bar night, yeah, fuck that shit. Like just like play that and let it go and keep it on a loop because no one's really. I mean, people may pay attention, but for the most part, people are going to be like socializing and drinking and whatever. Um, but like during the contest, maybe a little distracting, a little bit, because most of the time people
Just,
are focused to the
just,
people. Yeah,
just a little.
just a little. Just a little bit. Because I'm sure people were probably just looking at the stage and watching the contestants. There's some great contestants last night. It was kind of cool. Excuse me.
From the pictures I saw posted, it looked like it was good. So,
It was a fun night. Yeah. And I got home by 1 o'clock, which was really nice, considering it's an hour away.
wow. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did really
I mean,
good.
the the producer of the contest is ex-military. So he was like, this goes from here to here. And if we leave early, cool. Well, the next thing starts here. So there's that gap. And yeah, so I mean, it wasn't like on time, but it was definitely like, let's try to get some done. And the only time things went a little wonky, I will say, is just the whole um like we're near the end and I have to finish the final tally and get the winner together. But they've called all the contestants out to like kind of mingle, and then they're going to start selling their baskets to raffle off or to basically auction off. And it was just one of those like lulls where it's just a dip. Like nothing like no one's really interested per se. There are a few people interested in things, but it's kind of like I don't have money. I've been drinking for a while. So, and it's cash only. So, yeah. So, but it went fine. Could have been better. Could have been worse. Could have been much worse. I have been to auctions where it is dead. Like no one wants to give anything, and it just like you can feel like all the energy kind of sucking out of the room.
Hmm.
Uh,
That being said,
Marley was
Uh,
dead to begin with.
wait. Are we ready to start?
yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Where's my thing?
Hopefully below your waist.
Not that thing.
Had a feeling you were gonna go.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. If you look at the doc, I'm going to highlight something. Are we doing this at all today?
Sure.
Yeah, we should probably put something there.
Uh,
Da, 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 da.
I probably had this as a title before, but yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to transition to this, and then I'm going to click on this, which looks so pretty. Thank you, Gary.
Okay.
So, wait a minute, because you're probably going to want to hear sound for the first part. This is all pretty. So you can see what I'm pointing at right here. Oh, and then you move. Your video changed again. God damn it.
I don't know why it does that. I haven't changed anything.
See, Damon behaves, but
Well, sometimes.
anyways, let's do a show.
Here.
In 3, 2. It's September 30th, 2018. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I don't brew the tea, I just serve it.
And that makes me Gary.
Oh,
Don't hurt nobody with your bad self.
I was a little delayed on that because I was sipping tea. Anyways, welcome to Comes Out Loud, the beer podcast with a determined length, episode number 481. And it's been 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm just gonna put it that way. We're gonna quickly go into this. So, in order to talk about what I'm about to talk about, it's also going to partly be about a programming note. So, I've been at work at my new job for about a month, and I'm already moving up to this new section of things. We're also starting to go from just 5 days a week to 7 days a week. And with 7 days a week, we need people to cover Sunday through Saturday. And we're not going to put everybody on Sunday through Saturday. So instead, we're doing a two-shifter because we're going from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So we're splitting that up into two shifts. One group starts at 9 a.m. and one group ends at 9 p.m. And then we're basically taking our shifts and moving it from Monday through Friday and kind of like splitting them apart. One is scooching, so they start on Sunday and go through Thursday and have Friday and Saturday as their weekend. And the other going from Tuesday through Saturday, which is kind of cool. You get and everything. We're starting that next month, so starting tomorrow. So I didn't work today, but next Sunday I will be working. So, programming note, anyone who wants to watch the show live, we'll be doing it a little bit later in the day. So, it's going to be right around the time that we are recording this one, probably maybe a little bit earlier, because we were a little bit later than originally expected today. But, so, my work, programming note, is that we're doing that. I also end up being the one who's shadowing the person I was training with, making sure he's doing everything right, as well as somebody who started before me. Next week. And it's probably just because I picked up on how to do the thing faster. So it's not like I'm better or anything. It's just I picked up on it faster, so I'm doing better on it. If that makes any sense. So, as well as doing the second audits on them. So, double checking them.
Nice.
So, I'm moving up relatively quickly. And it's really weird when the team leader that I was assigned to, because we weren't really assigned team leaders before, but now we are assigned team leaders. My team leader confessed to me that he's grooming me to kind of be his second in command.
Oh.
I've been only at this job for a month. Less than a month. I feel special, and I'm a little overwhelmed, being like, oh wow. On the plus side, I at least have a 4-day work week this week because I'll be off Friday and Saturday, but I will be back to work next Sunday, and then it will be back to a 5-day work week at that point in time. So
Sweet.
yeah. So that's me, Damon.
Yeah. So last night I was, if you follow me on the Facebooks, as the kids call it. Anyway, I was tally mastered the Mr. Argos leather contest. Argos Bar is a local leather Levi bar. It's out of Dayton, Ohio, and I've probably talked about it several times on the show. But they have a contest every year, and it's becoming kind of a tradition. And last minute, I was able to get away up there and do my thing. So Gonzo, thank you for allowing me to do it. And then the bar was really great. We have 4 really awesome contestants. I was there pretty much all day because the person who got me up there was a judge. So it ended up being there very, very early. So I got to see them during their interviews. I got to then see everything else for the rest of the day. And it was a decent day. It just was a very long day. So congratulations to Eccentric, who won the Mr. Argos leather contest this year. Congratulations to Aaron, who was stepped down. I'll say step down. I'm tired of saying step aside. I'm with you, Jeff, on that one. So let me just really quickly say this. I was getting pissed off because the Aaron, who was stepping down, said, I'm stepping down, because he had been doing it for 15 months. He technically went a little bit longer because they moved the contest later. So he was technically in it for 15 months. So he was saying he was stepping down. He wanted a little break. I can respect that. It didn't mean, and again, like you said before, Jeff, just because you step down doesn't mean you're gone forever.
Right.
It just means you're not in the title anymore. You are stepping down off the podium, as it were. So I'm kind of
presenting somebody else to the podium.
Yes.
Giving somebody else the spotlight.
That was my bitchy moment. My bitchy time of the night was because it was like, I get that you call it a step aside because you never really step down, but let's stop. Like every fucking time he said it, someone was like, it's a step aside. I'm like, no, bitch, he is saying step down. Let him fucking say what he wants to say. like, shut up about it.
Let the person use the pronouns and the language that they want.
Let them use the language they want. So anyway, congratulations, Aaron, for stepping down. Congratulations to Eccentric for stepping up and winning the title. Congratulations to Sir, Daddy Paul, Raven, and Bruce for being the other contestants and putting their best efforts out there and doing a really good job. And then today was gaming. So been a very busy day, and I'm hyped up on caffeine. And
was it gaming or was it gaming?
It actually wasn't gaming because the only people that are gay are me and Jim.
Oh, okay.
So
fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Scandal.
Yeah.
I just thought
and they sleep with each other.
Oh my! But
in the same bed.
Bigger scandal.
Bigger scandal.
Oh, wait a minute.
So that's
I got appropriate.
Anyways.
Okay. Sorry.
So, and then today, so we got home and we wanted Chinese food, and we went to this place that we've gone to a couple of times. And just final note, we left with a shit ton of food, and we pretty much left with not what we ordered. Well, a little bit. So I ordered a combo plate, and Jim ordered a combo plate. He ordered a soup, and I ordered some like crab rangoon, or not crab rangoon, cheese puff. And we ended up they came out with our order, and they gave us 2 big ass bags. And as I was leaving, I was kind of like, this is a lot of stuff, but I didn't think anything about it till we got home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We either had someone else's order or they just totally like spaced, because we had so many different things. There is like leftovers in our fridge from like not just our actual things we ordered. Well, they didn't give Jim what he ordered, but they got mine what I ordered. But they didn't give us they gave us like shrimp fried rice and chow mein and chicken with broccoli. It was like, I don't know who this was supposed to feed. I knew we were two big guys walking into this restaurant, but come on.
Maybe they were like, hey, we got food left over. These are two big guys who probably enjoy their food. So, hey, let's give them a little extra food. Considering
that there was a nice crowd in there because they were waiting for their stuff, I feel we got someone else's order.
Oh.
And unfortunately, by the time we realized that we were already at home.
Right.
So they can't really take it back.
Yeah.
And Jim
at that point, it's like, more food for us.
Yeah. So
that's where I would just become greedy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what we did. And now I have probably lunch leftovers for the rest of the week.
Very true.
Yay. Thanks, nice. Chinese food. It was great. It was actually not that bad either. So
that's good.
Gary, how about you?
So I just got back into Erie literally right before we started our what do you want to call that? Like a podcast conference call? Administration call, maybe?
The pre-show.
Yeah, the pre-show, basically. So I went down to Pittsburgh for the weekend. It was my bestie's birthday on Thursday for Heather. Tara, her wife, contacted me the day before and was like, what are you doing this weekend? And I was like, technically nothing. And she was like, do you think you can come down as a surprise? And I was like, sure. So, and actually she was like, can you come down tonight? And I was like, no, like I can't do that. Like, because when she called me, well, given the time on Wednesday, and I was like, no, like I got to do some stuff. So I left Thursday and came down and got back today. So it was good to go down and, we hung out and watched a bunch of movies and Netflix and caught up on just life stuff and talked about things. And it was funny that you mentioned about Chinese because we got Chinese. And since they moved 2 months ago, they haven't had Chinese. So for Heather's birthday, Tara's grandson that lives with them bought and paid for Chinese for everybody. Nice. So we had Chinese, and then last night we got Italian from a local place that delivers, and I ordered something called the Italian Kitchen Village, I think, and they have like 12 of these chains or something, but a lot of them are in the state of Pennsylvania, but there's a couple like in Tennessee or someplace.
Really
anyways,
I haven't had Chinese in a while,
so we get the Italian, and I ordered this thing called the chicken rollio or something. So I don't even know what I'm getting. I just know I'm getting something because the description doesn't quite make sense, but I'm like, all right, whatever. And so for, I think it was like $8, I basically got the biggest calzone you've ever seen in your life.
Oh my God.
Even though they already sell calzone somewhere else on the menu. So now I was greatly confused, but it came like in a medium-sized pizza box, and we opened it and I said, holy shit. And we get turned around and we're like, that's a lot. So I ate it last night and I ate it today too. So kind of
leftover. How big was the calzone? Because I think the calzones like when I was working at Apple were about this big.
So what I ended up getting for size reference,
you can't see it. Oh well, maybe you can.
So the size of my keyboard is the thing I got last night.
Wow.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah. So, but yeah. I mean, it was more kind of football shaped dish. It wasn't quite as like squared. So it was kind of very unexpected. But basically, it was sauce, cheese, and like the meat. And if you wanted, you could tell them other like pizza toppings to put in it, like peppers.
Basically, it was like almost a large or extra large pizza that was folded over.
Yeah, it kind of wrapped on itself. So to me, it's a calzone, but I remember distinctly elsewhere on the left side of the menu they had calzone. So now I don't know what the hell their calzone is, but So
Maybe
and we
the
had
calzones
cake.
are smaller.
Yeah. So and Tara had a coworker that made a birthday cake to order, so that was nice. And yeah, it was good. And then I think they kind of thought I was going to stay till tomorrow, but I didn't take any of my podcasting stuff with me, so I didn't expect to be there till tomorrow. So today I was like, I gotta go. Because I don't have I literally had nothing. I didn't have my headset, the webcam, the light ring, tripod, nothing. So I was like, yeah, I'd really not like to phone this one in from like my phone with earbuds or whatever. So, and tomorrow being Monday, it's like I got to get back into things. So it was good to have a birthday weekend getaway. So yeah, and just catch up on stuff. And
Well, just keep in mind, my lighting is just this lamp I have over here.
well, I used to kind of do that, but now I realize like a ceiling light doesn't quite work. So I wanted something else and ended up finding something relatively decent priced. So
Meanwhile, Damon and I have just like our regular lighting. He has a light, his table lighting, and I have that. Then you look all pretty because you've got good lighting.
Good lighting.
I don't know if I call it that, but it's something that works, so to speak. So yeah. So it was a birthday weekend getaway and
Nice.
traffic and construction and wow. Anyways.
Still, you guys both had Chinese, and I hadn't had Chinese. I should break it out. One of my frozen P.F. Chang's, General Chang's chicken.
There you go.
Tonight, if I had had that, then we all would have had Chinese. So I feel a little left out.
Maybe we'll do that for one of our Patreon shows. We'll have an all same meal kind of show.
Ooh.
Maybe a theme sort of thing. So we don't necessarily have to have all this exact same thing.
Right.
Stuff to nibble on. I like that idea.
Everybody put some Greek in your mouth. Anyways.
Oh, there you go.
You're my hero.
Oh, God.
Anyways, let's get into our topic, shall we? Or
Sure.
did you have anything else, Gary? I'm sorry if I.
No, we're good.
Okay, cool. So we're getting right into this.
Oh.
Strangely enough, that's the type of thing that we're talking about for the thing.
You confused me so much.
What? Look at the title of the show. You put
Listen,
that there. It has a
dude,
word in there.
I know, but I'm looking at the doc and that whole section is missing. So I was like, what is he doing? I'm like, and then I thought, oh God, what doc is he on? Like, are we all on the same?
Are we all on the same
Anyways.
page?
This is all about that title that I'm pointing to right now.
I know.
Anyway.
So Gary, tell us what we did last month.
To catch everybody up, to explain the timeline and case of events, we were going to do this show last week. We had a different show lined up for tonight. We had a guest interview, but the guest interview wasn't really going to time correctly. And we didn't want to do a show at basically 11 o'clock at night. So we went back to plan B, which was last week's show that we didn't end up doing, and instead put out an archive show. So ta-da!
See, well, flashback. Let us know what you thought about that, by the way. That was back before. I don't know if Damon's like muted or something, or if he was just mouthing something.
I am muted. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I was looking at you and I'm like, is he just mouthing something? Or anyways. So
Thanks for calling me out. That's all good. Thanks.
So let us know what you thought about that flashback. This was pre-Gary. And it was literally, how many years ago was that? It was 2012. It was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was 2012, right?
It was 6 years ago. Damon was living in an apartment with really shitty internet connection. Robert was on the show at the time, which it was funny because I was very nostalgic. I actually listened to it because I was like, God, even I don't remember this episode. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh, I kind of remember it. And then I messaged Robert, because we're still in touch, and I said, it was really nice to hear your voice. It's like, and he was like, I'd like to come back on sometime, but I don't have a working computer. And I was like, well, we'll revisit that.
Let us know. Let us know when you want to come visit. We're always welcome for your return. So,
yeah,
maybe I'll make a trip to Chicago.
Because Robert's from Chicago now, bitch. So back in the last half of August, we did a SurveyMonkey online kind of feedback poll, I guess you want to call it, where we were asking people a whole bunch of questions and wanted to know what you thought about how we organize the show, what we do with the show, that kind of stuff. And so that's what last week we ended up having an admin kind of pre-show call that didn't turn into a show. So we were discussing where things were at, like what people enjoy, what people maybe might want to see less of, things that we should consider as suggestions, that kind of thing. And so we were going to have a discussion about that. And some of the things that have come out of that is we're going to be changing up how we operate the show. So we're not redoing everything from the ground up, but we're going to make some specific kind of alterations in regards to how we put the show together and the content. As Jeff said, one piece for everyone to be aware of is that due to the work schedule situation, for the time, I guess, unknown being into the future, we will record on Sunday nights after he's done with work. Which in a way kind of helps Damon and I and maybe some of our guests, because then we won't really have a midday kind of thing if people want to do some stuff. So it may work out for the best for everybody. We'll see.
And I think it'll help, not in general, help in general, but like we'll kind of maybe keep it a little more consistent, because I know it sometimes we would start at like 11 or, then sometimes as late as 2. So it'll be nice to kind of give a more consistent timeline, and we can plan our guests and let them know accordingly what's going on.
Right. And so like tonight, for example, if you're watching us live or listening in the next couple of days, we started at about 9 Eastern, and that's later than what we're planning. So that's not the actual time. We had a pre-show discussion about last week and the kind of change in topic due to the situation with the guest availability. So that's how we ended up where we are with today. So but some of the other stuff was just internally we were talking about getting back to our organizational stuff, which is, planning ahead, topics, just the shows, the guests, getting them lined up, and making sure we have kind of all our stuff in a row when it comes to that. And I think the time consistency with Sunday night will be a big piece of that. We'll be able to say easily, like, unless there's something that we know that's a mitigating factor, like I don't think this is the case this year, but if like Christmas or New Year's or something like that was on a Sunday, type thing where it could mess things up. So there was that. From the stuff that we had discussed, looking at the report that I kind of put together, so most folks ended up finding us from a friend, which is pretty cool. So thank you very much for the word of mouth.
Yay.
We prefer y'all talking about us positively that way.
And just so like an overall thing, that's sometimes the best way most things in the world work is if you like something, you want to talk about it and you tell your friends and they tell a friend and, so forth and so on. I know several friends who know of the podcast by talking to friends of mine. So kind of a cool, it's always been a good feedback tool, or not feedback tool, but a good boost to get people to come see your shows or do your thing, because it happens a lot in the theater world as well.
Right.
Like if a show is really great, people want to go see it. They'll talk about it and be like, "Oh, hey, did you see this really awesome show?" So,
and I see a lot more of that in social media now. People looking for recommendations on stuff, saying things like, hey, does anybody know a good person that's a plumber locally, or a great place to get this, or any recommendations on that? And we've even talked about that in previous feedback shows where someone's like, hey, like, what podcast do you listen to? And we might get tagged or, mentioned or something. So awesome stuff. The length of time that people have been listening to the show was kind of split evenly in either 0 to 1 years, 1 to 3 years, or 3 to 5 years. Which is pretty cool. So it's not like everybody's new or everybody's been around, since Methuselah.
But it does kind of, it's very interesting that we've only got, the show's been on for 10 years and we haven't had anyone who's been listening from the beginning.
Anybody who responded. So just to be clear.
Yes.
Right. We, like, one of the interesting things was, like, I will own, we didn't blast the survey, like, every single day on every platform all the time, 2 times a day or whatever. Like, I imagine if we were like in a more professional environment and had a marketing professional company or something we could afford, they probably would have annoyed the hell out of everyone online and been like, there's a survey. You should go take the survey. Hey, are you aware there's a survey? We also didn't entice people. Well, we also didn't entice people to take the survey with like freebie. I mean, we didn't say things like, you'll get free blowjobs or, free swag or, a gift card.
My jaw would hurt after that.
Well, I didn't mean for every respondent. I kind of meant more like a giveaway.
One for each guest. Or one for each host.
A raffle.
A raffle. Blowjob raffle. Woo!
So
you could win the blowjob from Gary, from Jeff, or from Damon, or blowjob for Gary, for Damon.
I'm really rethinking this now. Like, if we do another feedback survey, we should consider that whole dangling, the prize or the gift or something.
Nice.
Regarding the series that we've done, we've had a whole bunch of them. More than half of everybody likes the LTAS, the LTAK, the OTR, and the ATNS. So for those of you that don't know, that would be Let's Talk About Sex, Let's Talk About Kink, On the Road, and All Tea No Shade. The newest series actually that we've done, which I think we've only done last year into this year, or maybe this year, was the Bear Experience Action Readiness or whatever.
Bear Event Action Readiness is how you had it written here.
Bear Event Action Readiness. Ready.
Were you just kind of like imitating the Power Rangers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
For someone who had ever watched the show, I at least picked that up.
Actually, maybe a more Super Sentai.
Anyways, moving on. Jeff's birthday bash is the annual show that the most respondents look forward to.
Thank you. Thank you. Every year, I will be able to get drunk with some of my best friends on the internet.
Aww.
It's my favorite time of year. So.
Yeah. Most of the segments that we do and what we've done in a typical show had a positive rating, but nothing really kind of stood out as like a pooper. Like, nobody was like, this is crap, please stop doing it. Like, nobody really kind of complained, which was nice, but also like was difficult to read. I mean, granted, if you want to be fair, we didn't have a large pool of data to pull from. It's not like we had 100 people respond or anything. So it was one of those, like, we wanted to sift through and get a good idea on how folks think. So we do know that you guys like the series. Some of the freeform comments, people like how the hosts interact with each other. So, like, this is an example of this episode where we don't have a guest, so we're kind of riffing on each other and being silly. The topics that we try to introduce and bring in, people really seem to appreciate that. And notably, of the stuff that we kind of do, I'm kind of surprised by this. I guess I'm 50-50 on the surprise level that kink specifically seems to be of interest. But I think it's because people are not into kink, so they are learning via, like, our introduction, so to speak.
And I agree. I think and we kind of put it in a way and in a method that is not. You're not getting a shit ton of information. Like you're not getting overwhelmed with the information. You get a nice format. We usually try to stick to a outline or guidebook. We have some great people who are able to speak on it from personal experience, but they're also able to speak in a manner that is easier to approach. I'm not saying they're necessarily educators, but we've had like Chess and Miss Tammy on, and both of them tend to have a very not just a basic understanding, but they know how to talk and speak to get the point across without being browbeating or like talking way over your head.
Right. I mean, one of the key things I know that people appreciate is that, one, they don't try to come across as they may be talked about as a subject matter expert, but they own that they don't know everything. So they talk from a place of experience, and that doesn't mean they've had all the experience in the world.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully we're communicating those shows that the reason we have these people on is because we know that they know something about it, because we know practically nothing.
Well, not all of us know practically nothing, but a good amount of us
Right. Right. But I mean,
we don't want to turn Damon into the de facto kinkster and be like, well, Damon, teach us about piss play today. Or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's like we know we don't know as much, so we want to get people on.
And to be fair, I personally kind of feel like not that we're stale, but I was hoping that we would expand that more into people that we know to have other folks on. And there has been attempts to bring other individuals in and talk to them, and most people are really receptive about coming on. However, then it just kind of falls by the wayside, and we don't really hear from them again. So that was part of one of the many reasons I started going to Claw, because I wanted to network and to talk to people so we could have folks on to talk about like electroplay and other stuff that people might have heard about, it may or may not be interested in, and get into that kind of thing. So there's a psychologist, I believe he's a psychologist, that I've seen lecture twice at Claw that I really want to have on. He talks about run drop or event drop specifically, that I really would like to touch base with him and have him come on, because even though he comes from a kink community perspective, I think the things that he would have to say could apply to everybody. So it doesn't matter whether it's BDSM based or a bear run or a furry con or gaming or any of that. I think there's some things that might be able to overlay just purely on a mass of people doing something and then no longer doing it, and the withdrawal factors or that kind of stuff. So some of the other stuff that we were learning from this was that the weekly updates about what's happening with us is of interest, but not always. We've even kind of agreed amongst us that sometimes not a whole lot happens in a week. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was kind of like, what did you do? I went to work. I came home. I ate a meal. I went watched some TV. Went to bed. I mean, like, it's not really super exciting stuff. In that, and yes, we are aware that for the audio portion, that talking about Tumblr pics is probably not super exciting. That's why I usually try to describe the picture. And we always have those linked on our blog, and they should be re-blogged under the Cubs Out Loud Tumblr account. So if you go and follow that, at least you don't have to follow all of us separately necessarily.
It's true.
But you're welcome to.
And I think one of the things we kind of had to realize, we hadn't realized, is that we've moved from a more audio podcast to an audio and visual podcast, or video podcast. So because of that, we need to change our focus a little bit on some things. For me, it's been very like, I love the Tumblr part, and I love doing it because I love finding like the cheeky picture that like makes me happy. and sharing it with you guys. But I agree. Like, it's kind of a little hard to like, oh, here's a picture that gets me hard, and it's a guy with a bear. He's a bear, and he's a daddy bear. Or
and we tried to do things like also like if you were here in the live chat, we would actually have that posted. And actually, usually when you're watching it on YouTube, if you're watching it on the webpage, you can actually see a replay of the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So you would still be able to see those type of links. But it's not necessarily something that everybody watching. Maybe somebody who's watching the video might also.
Sorry,
AJ.
AJ in the live chat. He's making fun of us. He goes, "He look like a man."
Nice. Anyway,
it's like, am I missing something? Did I say something?
Yeah, no. And this is one of the things I like about like us moving to the YouTube platform is the live chat aspect, because before we didn't really have that, even though it is sometimes distracting.
Yes.
But it also like
freaks.
It can be really beneficial though, like when we had Ray on and we had people asking questions of our guest. And that's a thing we want to continue to do in the future, is when we know we've got a guest on lockdown, we want to be able to let you know in advance what the topic is, and if you have questions, so we can kind of have two portions of questions. That's one of the conceptual format pieces we want to start working on, is we have our own questions, but then also what do you want to know? So you can actually hear potentially what you're interested in on that topic from the person in that case. So I think that worked really well when we had Ray on for Boot Black, and the live chat, as well as pre-show, the audience gave us our entourage gave us some stuff to work off of. So that was pretty cool. The Zazzalads were well aware. We've kind of pulled back on those in case you haven't seen or figured that out, and didn't want to kind of browbeat you over the head with that stuff. The Urban Dictionary, honestly, some of these section things, they're just for fun. And like, I feel like, Damon and Jeff knows for certain, and any older long-term listeners are aware we used to do something called Love on Craigslist. In fact, if you listen to last week's throwback or
flashback
episode.
Oh, flashback. That's what I did earlier when I was muted, by the way.
Oh, okay. I think that the Craigslist is fun, but notably, while it was cute and it was a little competitive, it was also a challenge to try to find things. And that section doesn't exist on Craigslist anymore. So,
we could still do Love on Double List.
But I'll be honest, I don't see any outstanding listings on there. They're all pretty tame and
for the most part,
basic. At least the ones I see. Not like the old days where people were like, I'm into Squid Ink play, and I have rubber sheets and blah, 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 and I want cat paws all over my face. And, and we were just kind of like, whoa, this is very specific and different.
Okay, so AJ is suggesting Love on Squirt?
Oh, no. No.
Apparently, David is, his vote is no.
Sounds like a veto to me.
Because there's some people up on Squirt. We could have a
conversation about that alone.
Apparently, Damon knows something about that.
Right.
Oh my God! Anyway, move along. That's
right. AJ says they all moved there from Craigslist. Maybe.
At night.
Yeah. So so some of the stuff that we got in terms of the feedback, we're looking at to incorporate. There was some really good stuff that came out of the survey as well that I liked. So here's some suggestions: relationship dynamics, daddy boy, chaser bear, coming out stories. Specifically kind of focusing on differences of those, ways to improve health in the bear community, Bear Run News, or News and Queer Culture, reviewing media like movies, games, and TV from a gay bear perspective. How to help newbies in breaking the ice when it comes to meeting bears and future dating and relationship stuff, which I think there's a huge amount of potential, but maybe quite a lot of difference in opinion on that. More guest artists. I really like the suggestion, the Kentucky Fried Sisters, or for that matter, pretty much anybody in the Sister of Perpetual Indulgence grouping, History of Evolution, or the Radical Fairy Movement. And then this actually really intrigued me. Bear gay porn writers, creators, basically, possibly app creators or owners, individuals like owners or managers of a bear bar, perhaps. So I think those are awesome because people are saying, like, hey, there's more representation or more that exists of our community outside of just the standard block A, B, C kind of stuff. So I thought that was really good. There was also some discussion or brought up about like how the bear community is portrayed, do's and don'ts at your first bear event, which I don't know if we've discussed that, but I think that would be.
If we did, we could just revisit it.
Yeah. Experiences with events from around the world, like if we happen to go to any others. There's obviously a very personal request in this. I don't know who the individual was because we didn't ask for identities, but they named a person in the bear community, and I think this was more of a thirst request than anything else. They want George Unda to be on.
Oh.
I gotta remind myself of him. I remember seeing him before.
He was in Where the Bears Are. But he's not to be confused with Ian Parks. Ian Parks is the little cubby guy.
George Unda was the
yes.
The boyfriend, or I don't know if they ever got married.
I never actually watched the show, so.
But he was like the.
I just did a Google image search. I remember him now.
He's
that's
very
a
popular.
That's a really good one of him, only in a Santa hat, a tie, and Where the Bears Are DVD. Oh, he does have pants that are around his knees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He was very popular on Tumblr, and once that web series Where the Bears Are started, a lot of his Triple X content, I guess I'll say, kind of disappeared. But very dedicated fans have kept that stuff alive and keep reposting it. The same thing kind of happened with Ian Park, so you never know.
Yeah, I would like if we could. I don't know if I could be on that show. Like, I'd be so like, very just, whatever you want to say. Like, I would have been like, sure, whatever you want to do.
I couldn't get into it, so, but that's just me.
He just
I think, like I said, I think that was like a very specific request from a person. I don't know who the person was, but because it was really about the only individual outright named as a suggestion. So,
and so those who offer a suggestion like that, it's something we could potentially look into. I can't say for sure it can ever actually happen. We're not a high profile like show. We do stuff, and we're a part of the bear community, and we do things for the bear community and whatnot, and sometimes it's great when you can get connected in that way.
Plus, having some of these people on, we don't want to be just like us going drool during the entire episode. So,
and I mean, I was kind of joking about George Unda. I have a feeling that may be the case. I'd probably be a little speechless for a while.
I think he'd be fine as long as he had his clothes on. I mean, if he decided, to take his...
It's not until the post-show
shirt off.
Or when we would have that. Although Hadrian's been known to come on the show shirtless. Actually, he was only in a robe during one of our episodes. Trust me, I know he demonstrated it after the show.
Mm-hmm.
No one got to see but us.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, moving on.
Mm.
Sometimes there's a perk being a host. Just gonna
Yes.
say.
Yes.
So yeah, there was a lot of good stuff that came out of it. One of the things that we discussed last week that we're looking to do, I guess, a shift or alteration to how we put the shows together is when we are going to have a specific topic or a guest to focus on that particular thing. So what that means is that we'll be removing and shifting the other segments that we do. So for example, the what's going on, possibly the Tumblr, the pics, that kind of stuff, feedback, and that we'll save for another time, because understandably the guests that we bring on may not necessarily be familiar with the podcast before, our format, how we operate things, and they may also have a unique timetable that they can do the podcast in, which is to say, like, hey, I got this thing to do, I'm only available for an hour or whatever. So we want to be able to give them that benefit of that respect, as well as you guys who maybe want to listen for information about a specific topic, but not necessarily what I call the bookends of the show, the front and back end type stuff. So what we talked about is actually making that its own show. So like we did a couple of times now, we've done a catch up show
2 weeks ago, in fact.
Yeah. I think what we might look at doing is maybe creating a new, I don't want to call it a series, but a new recurring kind of like a what's going on of the month. And then that way we all get to catch up with each other on kind of what's been happening, as well as we can get the feedback recognition taken care of and some of that other fun stuff. And then those will probably be, I don't want to say less structured, but less formal maybe.
Yeah.
I don't like using formal, but you guys know what I mean. About that kind of stuff when it comes to discussing the topic or whatever's happening in that case.
Agreed. Like,
It's a slight reformat.
yeah. And with, as I said, as we've, mentioned before, we're kind of going to see what we can do, what we all can do to kind of make it a better show for our audience. I've been on the show for a while and has some varying, obviously internet issues and what have you. If you heard the feedback, if you heard the last episode, you kind of saw that. But, it's one of those ones where I think are all going to try to do our best to be a little bit more on par, up to professional. I don't want to use the word professional because we're not a professional show, but I think we want to be a little bit more like, I don't want to know the word, polished. That'd be that's a
There
little
you
word.
go.
That's a better word.
I can get
Polished.
For example, for those of us watching us on YouTube, we got this fancy new overlay created by Mr. Gary here, which I appreciate very much. It looks beautiful.
Yeah. It's actually been a long-term request, to be fair. I don't remember how long ago it was, Jeff. You were kind of like, we should have an overlay. And I'm like, a what? Well, to be fair, I'm not that much into gaming, which is where I think you really see it more often than not. You kind of create like a skin, so to speak. So there's a whole section that's live, and then you've got other stuff that's going on.
And I got it more from thinking of like other people who do video portions to their podcasts, like the morning stream and all the Frog Pants show. He uses an overlay for those. So I'm like, some look pretty, and then it's like when we got to the current version of Skype where I was doing some fancy schmancy things, people's size of their video were different sizes. But with this, I just fit them in the box, and then they're all the same size image as long as the same size video is coming through us from Skype, and it doesn't change during the show. Which has happened before.
Has mine calmed down tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, I wasn't watching all the time, so
I don't know what the cause of it is, but we'll talk off air about
it's fine.
something.
It's fine.
So yeah, that's another thing that we're trying to do is clean up the visual, so to speak, and make sure that helps out, so to speak, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So yeah, the other thing that we wanted to talk about was, as you may have noticed, for those of you that have been with us for a little while, and asked about, was with Chester. So earlier this summer, Chester had requested to take some time off from recording the podcast show. He had some personal stuff that he was trying to take care of. He's had some things that he's had come up and been working through. And we wanted to give him the time and space to kind of do whatever he needed to take care of stuff, and then get kind of, I don't want to say get the band back together, but circle back and have a talk about stuff and figure out like where are we at. And we recognize that you guys were asking and kind of like, hey, what's going on? And like no one's really kind of talking about it or saying anything. And we were trying to be respectful and not really, we didn't have anything to say per se, but that also made it kind of awkward because we didn't have anything to explain outside that he was basically taking some time off, like a sabbatical. So we've talked to Chester, and he's made the decision for now to not return to the show as a co-host. He has other things that have come up that were unexpected that he wants to focus on. And I think it's fair to each of us to know when we say, like, I got things I got to do. And, there's a lot of stuff that comes through in our lives that, has to take precedent. Your personal well-being, your health, putting a roof over your head, having a job, and some of that stuff really can be a factor in prioritizing the importance of things, what you're going to do, and that kind of stuff. And I get that, and I understand it. And so that's the place that we came to. And we're wanting, him to do the best that he can with what he wants to pursue, especially in trying to feel like he has, I guess, a better grasp on things and what he's doing in his personal life. I get it. I understand. I mean, I've been kind of open about the fact since I haven't worked since last year that's really it's a stressor, For me personally, the show's been a way to stay rooted and to kind of keep on some type of a schedule, a task with things.
Yeah.
And for me, it kind of keeps me in tune with the world and not completely checked out, so to speak.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Damon. I thought you were going to say
something. I think you've pretty much said everything. We all have stuff we have to deal with in our lives, and sometimes you need to determine what your priorities are and what you can and can't commit to. I mentioned I game, and I game pretty regularly. And if you have a certain amount of people at the table, you can only do so much. So if you have fewer than like 3 players, as an example, it's a little bit harder to do like the big, things. So one of the things I try to do is I try to make sure that I plan for it accordingly. Sometimes people can do that, sometimes can't, but also realize like there's a whole other life beyond that person and beyond that one thing you're doing. And you have to realize or understand yourself to know what you can and can't do. At the end of the day, I feel like everyone needs to figure out what they want to prioritize in their life and what they can commit the energy that they want to commit to. Mm-hmm. If you can't or don't want to, or have a feeling you won't be able to commit the amount of energy that you think you need to in something, you have to make the decision about whether or not you want to try to keep, barreling through it, or maybe taking a step back and saying, hey, I can't do this for a while. And I appreciate Chester being on the show, and he'd offered us some really great feedback, for the show. But seeing some of the stuff he's been talking about and going through on the show, off the show and online and everything else, there's a lot going on. And I think it's best for him to refocus his energies. He's moved to a new city. Within a year. He has some issues, job wise, things are going on, and there's all these other things that have been going on in his life, and it's hard. It is hard. I know, hell, my first year moving into this house, I had to realize I had to focus on the house more, not because it was totally new, totally different. It was a life-changing event for me, and it made it difficult sometimes to kind of
focus or
on some of the stuff that I would have normally been able. Yeah.
And I just caught up with you.
Uh-oh.
I got some lag there.
Yeah, we had a little strange
Delay.
lag. Blame it on Skype. It was right at the very end of what you were saying there, Damon.
Yeah.
I know for me, like, this isn't the same, but sort of a parallel is like, in fact, it was funny because one of my best friends asked me about how many men I've dated, which I was like, really? But we did talk, and I said, the fact that I put on a bear run and that I do the podcast, like, these are kind of significant things. And if I was to date someone and they're not aware of this stuff, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a thing that I dedicate my time to. And I recognize that there's a whole balance. There's your personal life, there's something of a professional life, whatever that is that you pursue as a career, as an occupation, whether you're self-employed or you work for a company or however that happens for you, and the social dynamics of people that you hang out with and people that you have as friends, and if you have any opportunities to travel, like, all of it becomes a factor. And I agree that you really want to put some of that stuff into perspective. And we all have internally talked amongst each other, like, as much as we enjoy doing the show, we will probably not do it forever, because there's this thing called end of life. So, unless science really makes some advances and we can afford it,
I will practice till the day that I die. I will practice till the day that I die.
So, yeah, I mean, and we as a group haven't really wanted to discontinue. So, I know that, like, we probably have some personal goals about, how far we want things to go and what we can achieve, and the future is kind of an open book. So, and, in the history of the course of things, I mean, Jeff, since you've been here since day one, there's been a number of individuals that have, been here for certain amounts of time. I mean, like last week's flashback show, Robert was on for a number of years. Eric was on, Ben was on. And then there was, like, the whole first generation prior to that.
Tim, JJ, and Griff.
Yeah. So, and, we've done some crossover stuff with other podcasts that have come and gone. Some podcasts are still doing other things. And so I think it's just par for the course that there's changes along the way. And, we're kind of at a, I don't want to say a precipice, but we're kind of at a chapter point, and we want to make some shifts. So hence new visual layout kind of thing. And
which I just noticed that the bottom one is slightly off center.
Oh God.
Really?
Wow. Well, there's that.
Calling out my OCD.
Look, it took me this long to even see it. Now everybody else watching this will never be able to unsee it.
Well, thank goodness I can change that in the future, just not for live right now.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And
but yeah.
Plus it's a delightful humor thing.
Yeah, because we all like ribbing at each other.
And there we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Love you.
Yeah, so we will look at kind of shifting things up. So the basic rundown of things are, first, thank you all for the support and the love and the feedback, because that was awesome. And it helped give us some springboard, some ideas, some content type stuff. In fact, I was just listening to a different podcast today, and it gave me an idea for an LTAS, which I'll talk about off air, because, like, I need to know if you buy in or not. But So yeah, and by all means, like keep the stuff coming. There's been some things earlier this year that came up in different areas that were suggested that I think we were sitting on and waiting because we wanted to get a feel for where we were going with stuff. And so that was important. And now that I think we feel like we've kind of reconvened and our focus on what we're doing, I think that's really good. So the plan, in theory, at least for now, is a couple of episodes a month where it's topics focused, specific, and then we'll do our kind of, I don't know what I want to call it. I don't want to call it potluck, but like it's a what's been happening. Where we catch up on our personal lives and feedback and some of the other stuff. And then, of course, we're still going to have our Patreon stuff that we're doing. Speaking of which, so Jeff, you stopped nagging me. So I guess that means you know that thing got changed.
Yes.
So for those that aren't aware, I don't know if we actually talked about it in a podcast before, but Vince has been a long time kind of listener off and on, and he was very generous in the month of September, and with our Patreon subscription program had given us a large lump sum of money. I mean, we ain't rich, so everybody calm down.
It wasn't that big. It was
yeah.
It was much bigger than anybody else's.
Well, and it was in the top tier, but it was above that. And so understandably, Jeff was a little concerned because it's about to be October 1st. And when that rolls around,
2 hours.
Yeah, Patreon is supposed to, do the next month's subscription deduction automatically. And he didn't want him to get dinged for the same amount again. So
unless he wanted it. I mean, if he wanted to stay with that, sure, fine. I'm totally fine with that. But I wanted that to be his decision.
Correct. And I've kind of figured, because when it happened initially, we were all like, what? We were like, oh, this is obviously a mistake. So when then I reached out and he was all like, no, it's legit. And we were all like, okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, like, thank you. Because we were kind of caught off guard. And then
we really appreciate it. Don't get us wrong.
Right. And then notably what it comes down to is Patreon doesn't have like a one-time thing. It's a monthly recurrent. So that's where Jeff was correct to be like, hey, could you please remind him that that's going to happen unless he really wants it to happen? So, it's kind of like we appreciate it, but should we be expecting, such a large deposit every month?
We don't want to have any problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so he changed his level for Patreon. So I'm excited that he's staying on and he's going to be doing that with us. So yeah,
thanks to our patrons.
Again,
like we said, thanks to everyone who gave feedback and talked to us about the show. We are listening, and we will be implementing changes. And again, let us know what you think. You can always leave a voicemail. Leave us a voicemail, sexy or otherwise.
We're not there yet.
Wait, crap.
That's later.
Damn it. Okay, sorry.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Oh.
Come on.
Although we're pretty much there.
Besides, that's my line.
For the show wrap up.
Well, we do still have a couple things for this episode at least. Do we want to continue with these, or should we just move on?
Let's do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay. So I'm not sure when we'll be doing this again, but hey. So Damon, you're the lucky tumbler today.
So for this one I titled Coach Needs a Fucking. And it is the ever bootylicious J-Mo Bear. He, for a while, was posting pictures of a photo shoot he had done with Martin Cortez. And there were several pictures in this photo set, but this was one of the last ones. And it says, come on now, Coach's fat ass needs a good long, hard fuck. And I find it very humorous considering, yes, he has a really beautiful ass, but for those that don't know, J-Mo Bear considers himself a top, which is fine. I will happily take care of that dick if you wanted me to.
Priorities.
Yes, but he does have a very beautiful ass, and this is a very great picture of him with that ass out. And yeah, it's I mean, back hair, back fur, big butt, off the no short, no shirt, no shirt, no shorts. Excuse me. They're kind of dangling down, and he's got the hat and the sunglasses on, and yeah, it's a good picture. It's a great picture, and yeah, J-Mo Bear, J-Mo Bear. With that big fat ass.
Mm-hmm.
You just couldn't resist.
No.
Could you balance a shot glass on that ass?
I don't know if we could. Huh.
Okay,
We should have a contest
between him and Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was. Yeah, I got to meet J-Mo at North American Bear this year, and it was great. We were able to have a conversation that was really kind of cool, and that's the one thing I really like about J-Mo so far, and that's kind of made me want him even more, is that he is very just like a very cool guy. He's not one of those stuck up asshole kind of guys that has become like Insta famous or Tumblr famous and is a dick. He's very much a super nice guy, and yeah.
Nice.
And his husband's cute too. Just saying.
Daddy Tom? Yeah.
Daddy Tom. Anyway.
Yep.
Moving right along.
Into the link, because we only have one. Gary, what did you have in mind?
I actually came up with a Tumblr.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry. I was.
Oh, that's okay.
It's a sudden Tumblr.
Sudden Tumblr.
Suddenly Tumblr.
So, I wanted to give recognition because I was not expecting this when this popped up in my Tumblr feed. It's called Chaser Evolution, and this is actually a previous guest from quite some time ago, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Bearberly Crusher on Tumblr is a beauty of a man who plays rugby and lives in Canada. And I did not know that this man was much smaller in his past. So he posted what it says, what Chaser is evolving. Congratulations, Chaser has evolved into Daddy Bear.
Nice.
One of the Chaser's many forms, I assume.
Yeah. I did think there was quite the Pokemon reference going on into this.
Oh my god. So, yeah.
I mean, what are the conditions that have to be met for the Chaser to evolve into Daddy Bear? I
think there has to be lots of feeding, lots of probably.
So there's a level
love
requirement.
And attention.
Yeah. I don't know. Does the Chaser have to be leveled in a certain area? Is there a stone of friendship level, affection level?
God. Oh, let's not go that far. Let's not dig too deep.
Remember, I completed at least 2 versions of Pokemon already, so
I am aware. Yes.
As a non-Pokemon person, I'm guessing that there's lots of love and attention that's dedicated. You must take care of them. You must feed them. You must give them the opportunity to evolve.
Well, to evolve a Snubbull into a Granbull, I believe that's only just having to level them up. So it's basically just put them in the first slot, have something of a higher level, another slot. And then when you get at the random encounter, you switch to the higher one from Snubbull, and eventually they'll just evolve.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this is more along the Eevee-like.
Yeah.
there's many different ways to evolve them into different
Exactly.
things. Because this is to daddy bear. Is there a different condition for just bear?
Probably.
Is it otter? Is another option. So
Yeah.
It was very fun. It was very interesting. I really liked this picture, by the way. It surprised me.
It shocked the fuck out of me.
I know, right?
Because I have known of, Beverly online for a number of years, and I did not know him in his youth, which is where the first picture comes from.
Oh,
and I was like,
have you seen a picture of me when I was like a teenager? I was also quite skinny.
maybe.
I used to be a chaser. Now, then I turned into a otter version of a cub, which I called a puppy at the time. But nowadays puppy means something completely different.
Correct.
And then now I'm a cub because I'm a little thicker around the middle.
Well, and again, we've talked about it many times, in a way it's kind of about the labels that you apply yourself, but
True.
Notably, he's recognizing that he has physically morphed. So yeah, I was really quite surprised. I was like, dang.
And I like that the pictures are kind of similar.
Yeah.
Like, obviously he's not on the same bed, because I think the bed in the first picture is probably from maybe when he was in school.
Yeah.
At uni?
I'm
That's
hoping
what they call it
so.
in Canada, right? They call it uni
I
Yeah.
think so.
instead
And
of
then-
college.
And then the current picture is definitely it's like it's very much it's him, same pose.
I
It's
wanna
very
see-
sexy.
I want to see somebody take these two pictures and do a GIF animation of him evolving.
Oh my
Pokemon
god.
style.
Oh, I'm sure it could be done.
I just
yeah.
like the
Dun, dun, dun,
it's
dun,
very
dun,
sexy.
dun, dun. Whoosh.
Yeah.
He has a very, thick thigh and thick body and thick build and thick beard. Like the hair color
Thick.
change is the big thing for me. Like, it feels very like I'm like, oh my god. Like, at first I was like, that's not you. That can't be you.
I don't think the hair really changed that much.
It's
He's less
darker to
hairy.
me.
He was a lot less hairy in the old picture, and now he's...
Yeah.
And it could be
Right,
just a
but-
lighting thing too.
It could be, but I mean, he's like notably like tanner now. But I agree, like his hair on his head and his facial hair, like it's very dark. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be light. It could be a bunch of things. But for me, I just wanted to give the recognition that I thought it was awesome as far as like that he put that out there for the evolutionary standard. So yeah. Anybody can evolve. Yay.
Yay.
Yes.
Moving on into the link now.
So
We didn't have any others, right? None were added. Okay, cool. Just double check.
Yeah, no. So this one was from a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to put it out there because I thought it was fucking awesome. So for those that don't know, there is a drag queen by the name of Courtney Act, who originally is from Australia and was on RuPaul's Drag Race and won Celebrity Big Brother in the UK, and actually has a new show that's coming out in the UK about bisexuality and dating called The Bi Life. But she did what's called a Bisexuality 101 video to YouTube on Courtney Fact or Courtney Facts. And she's done a series of them, but I thought this was awesome because it's brief, concise, to the point, but puts so much content out. And I learned shit I didn't know. And I don't consider myself like that well knowledge necessarily. Like I don't think of myself walking around being like, oh, I have like encyclopedias stuck in my head. Like that's not how I think about stuff. But I was pleasantly surprised to be like, oh, I never really thought about that before. So to me, it was like, yay, put more stuff out there for people to choose to listen and watch and that kind of stuff and learn from. So yeah, I was very happy about that.
And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, September Bisexual Visibility Month, or there was something recently about either bisexual Bisexual Visibility Day was September 23rd.
Which is when this when this video posted. In fact, if you look at the comment, if you look at the description, it says to celebrate bisexuality plus day. I've got a little video breaking down bisexuality, pansexuality, and more.
Yay! Cool.
So, yeah, I thought it was important, and I guess I am biased to that because I have dated bisexual men in my past, and so I feel that it's good, to make sure that there's a fair representation. I do feel that there are times that there's a lot of presumption about the binary concepts of existence, and I'm like, hey, that people love people, and that's kind of what it comes down to. So
exactly,
some people are a little bi, some people are a lot of bi,
and some people buy everything.
Because
they got the money.
And with that, guess what, everybody? That's the end. Oh. Plenty of ways to contact us. You can pop over to our website, cubsoutloud.com. Shoot us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. Oh, comment from the chat in regards to that email address is one-time donations. There actually is a way, because in order for us to use the money, we created our own PayPal account. So you can donate to us by sending us money to cubsoutloud@gmail.com on PayPal. So, side note there. You can also leave us voicemail at sexy or otherwise at 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. Find us on the social medias on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, and of course right here on YouTube at Cubs Out Loud in the appropriate place of the URL. You can join our entourage chat at tinyurl.com/telegram-COL. Pop in, say hi, start a conversation, enjoy it. Maybe a naked picture will somehow appear in the chat. You never know. So it's fun to join that. You can find when we actually schedule these shows. This is another thing that I think we're going to be a little bit better on. Once we got the shows locked down and the time, we will post them on our calendar at tinyurl.com/calendar-COL. Please pop over to our merch store where you can get shirts like this. Where's Sticky? Here's your cookie shirt, and Gary's shirt.
Oh, really? You're gonna do this to me? Because I can't see myself to know what I look like. So yeah, that's an issue.
Which has
this thing. It's probably not in the shot very easily.
In the shot.
Yeah, It's mostly in the shot. We're fine. It's fine. We got plenty of different types of shirts and keychains. And do we have keychains? I think we have keychains. Poker chips. We have a soup bowl and a chili bowl, which are awesome, and a corkscrew. It's great. If there's anything else that you find in the create your own section of Zazzle that we don't have an option for, let us know so we can create it for you. So you can get some more COL merchandise. You can also subscribe to us through Patreon, and we thank our patrons. Tomorrow is Patreon Day. And we thank all of our patrons for being patrons and continuing to be patrons for some people. At patreon.com/cubsoutloud. You can rate us on iTunes, subscribe to us through Google Play Podcasts, and give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio if you're still listening to that crappy version of our show. You can find me anywhere on the internet as Box Puppy, Box Cub, Box something or other.
I am Theater Cub 79 on Bear on the Ground. No, not Bear on the Ground because we don't have it anymore. Fuck, I keep missing that. On Bear dating sites, or you can find me as pup_umber on Twitter and FetLife.
If you would like to get in touch with me online, you can pretty much find me anywhere as GareBear73. That's GARBEAR73.
And with that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one, y'all.
Yay! Sorry,
So we made
I
it
forgot
post,
that.
it's okay.
Yeah, we're fine. I totally forgot that I didn't restart the sound sharing.
It's
Anyways.
okay. It's fine. And sorry for the distraction. My brother was texting me while we were doing the show, and
Doesn't he know that? Never mind.
he doesn't.
That's why I was like, I can't even do the joke of how dare no.
So he was asking me questions. He was trying to find wait, are we still recording?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll wait to say what I need to say.
Okay. Private stuff. That's okay. Well, it sounds like we don't have any other funny stuff to say at the end of the show, so I'm just going to stop streaming. Hey, there you go.